All right, good evening, everybody. Today we're going to be doing solving equations using distributive property, practice and problem solving. Let's get started. I'm going to do number 7 to start us off. It says use the distributive property to solve the equations. Well, right off the bat, it shows me -2 with parentheses next to it with x plus 5. This tells me that I'm going to take that -2 and multiply it to everything inside of the parentheses. So that means multiplied to x is going to be -2, and multiplied to 5 will also be -2. Next, I'm going to answer that. Well, -2 times x is -2x. Plus comes down, and -2 times 5 is going to be -10. And equals 4 comes down as it was. Now I can go ahead and use my properties to get rid of my addition property to get rid of my -10. All right, so that means I'm going to add 10 to this side, which means I add 10 to this side. That's what it means, 4 plus 10. Okay, and that means -2x is going to be over here by itself. Does everybody see that? All they did was do the plus 10, but they put it down over here. All right, so I'm going to erase that part there because I just wanted to show everybody where it came from. Now that we know that, we see that we have 4 plus 10, and that's 14. But what gets divided? Well, we wanted the x by itself. To get x by itself, we would have had to divide it by -2. So that means whatever I do to one side, I had to do to the other. That means this 14, the 4 plus 10, is going to be divided by -2. Okay? And once again, I'm going to get rid of this because it was just to show you guys where it was coming from. And lastly now, 14 divided by -2 is -7. And that's solving number 7. Let's move on, and you will do the same thing over here. Remember with fractions, if you're going to go ahead up and divide fractions, you'll have to do the opposite. And that gives a little hint over here, this 5/4, when you're dealing with some of these numbers, say 4/5. Hopefully you'll remember that from class. But my job is to do all the odds tonight, so let me get on to number 9. I'll take, once again, I'll distribute the 1/8 to everything inside. So 1/8 times p will be 1/8 p. And we'll add that to, well, 1/8 times 24. Remember, this is multiplication, so it's really 1/8 multiplied to 24/1. And if we use the butterfly method, we can see that that's really going to be 1 there and a 3 here, because 3 times 8 is 24. And that gives us a 1 times 3, which is 3/1, because 1 times 1 is 1, and that's going to equal 3. So my answer over here is 3. And 9 is left unchecked because I wasn't distributing my property to that, only to the things in the parentheses. Now, it says P is equal to something. Well, first of all, we have to go ahead and realize we have 3 over here, and equals 9. So the first thing, it looks like there's, assuming you're going to do a lot of the steps here, I'm not crazy about how the book has done this, but if I'm going to get rid of this 3, I'm going to have to go ahead and subtract 3 from it. Whatever I subtract from one side of the equal sign, I have to subtract from the other side. 9 minus 3 is 6. So that means this problem is now going to be 1/8 p equals 6. But that's not what they're asking us here. They're asking what P is. And again, I'm not crazy about how the book has done this, but we're going to follow through. Remember when we have 1 over 8, I have to multiply the coefficient to its inverse to get P alone. So that means I'll multiply it to 8 over 1. When I multiply it to 8 over 1, I have to multiply the other side to 8 over 1. Now you might be wondering why 8 over 1, and that's because, again, I can use the butterfly method to eliminate my 8s and make it 1 over 1. Now I have 1p left over, and that's what we needed here, 1p. But now I have 6 times 8, and that's 48. And that's what our book is looking for, what p is. P equals 48. All right, and now I'm going to go to number 11. Number 11, it says, use the equation at the right. So if you apply the distributive property first to solve the equation, what operation will you need to do last? Let's just say I did use the distributive property first. That means I'll be multiplying 6 to d over 3 and 6 to negative 5. That would give me 6d over 3 minus 5 equals 34. But hold on one second here. We know that 6 over 3, since it's a division problem, every fraction is really a division problem, 6 over 3 can be reduced because 3 goes into 6 2 times, which means this is really 2d minus 5 equals 34. Now it's asking us what operation we do last. Well, of course, the first thing I'm going to do when I solve this is going to be to add 5. If I add 5 to both sides, that would give me 2d equals, well, this looks like 39. Now I would have to divide, everyone see that? I'd have to divide 2 into 2d. So what operation would I need to do last? Divide. And that would, of course, mean that I would have to divide this side, which would mean d would equal, well, 39 divided by 2 is going to give me, I'm thinking 19.5. Pretty sure that's right. Now they're posing the question, if instead you divide first to solve the equation, what operation we do last? Well, let's try that. It's asking us to divide first, which is not something I would recommend, but if we did divide first, that means I would be dividing this whole thing by 6. Okay, and that would scratch out, which would leave me d over 3 minus 5. That means I would be dividing this side by 6. 34 divided by 6. This is why I don't like doing it. 34 divided by 6 would give me, well, 34 divided by, and I don't know why I have negative there. It should just be divided by 6. I'm going to erase that because I don't want there to be any confusion of it being a negative 6. 34 divided by 6 would give us 5 with 4 left over. And 4 over 6 can be 2 over 3 when we reduce it. So this would be equaling 5. Well, if I left it, I could leave it 34 over 6, or I could turn it into 5 and 3 over 2, or 2 over 3, excuse me, 2 over 3. And for those that didn't follow along with that 2 over 3, this is 5 and 4/6, but that fraction can be reduced because 4 and 6 are divisible by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now, that's asking what operation would I do last? Well, once again over here, I'd have to add 5 to get rid of 5. Add 5 over here is going to turn this into 10 and 2/3. And then I would have d over 3 equals 10 and 2/3. And to solve that, the last step I would have to do would be to multiply this to 3. Well, you could say 3 over 1. I would get rid of that, and then I'd have to multiply this side by 3. And it would end up giving me the same answer that I had a little while ago. So let's see. My last one would be multiply. All right, and I don't even need to solve it because they're not even asking for me to solve it. I gave the answers that they needed, so from this point, I'm just going to erase all this. All right, and let's move on. I did number 11, so that means 12 is yours. 13 is mine, then. It says here, a local charity receives 1/3 of funds raised during a craft fair and a bake sale. So they receive 1/3 of the funds, okay? The total amount given to the charity was $137.45, okay? How much did the bake sale raise? Okay, let's see, the bake sale, a local charity receives 1/3 of the funds raised during the craft fair and bake sale. Glad I read that again. So there's a combination. And it says the total amount given to the charity was this amount. So what they're wondering is, how much did the bake sale make? Okay, so if I'm getting 1/3 for both of these, that means I can say that, let's see, 1/3 of, let's see, 252.60. Let's see, actually plus, right? Because we're adding these two together. We would call this X because we don't know what it is. And that has to equal, they said the total amount given to the charity was $137.45. So we're trying to find out what X is. All right, so if we do this, we're going to have to take 1/3 of this amount times this. So let's get our calculator and figure that out. We're going to take, it's like, well, 1/3, let's see, that means we're going to divide this by 3. So I can take 252.60 divided by 3, and that gives me 84.2. Okay, and now 1/3 times X is, well, 1/3 X. And all that has to equal 137.45. And now I have to get the variable by itself. So since I'm adding 84.2 to this, I can go ahead and use subtraction and subtract 84.2. And that will give me 0 there. But whatever I subtract from one side, I have to subtract from the other. So I'll have to subtract 84.2 from this side. Well, that's going to leave me with 5. That's going to leave me with 2. That's going to leave me with 3. And this will leave me with 5 again. So I'm left with $53.25 equaling 1/3 x. Now, to get rid of that 1/3, I have to multiply it to 3 over 1, the inverse of 1/3. That allows me to get rid of that 3 and turn it just into an x. That means I'm multiplying 3 to this side, right? So 53.25 times 3, let's see, well, let's work that out over here. 53.25 times 3, well, 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6, so that would be 7. 3 times 3 is 9. And 5 times 3 is 15. We got 2 decimal places, so I'll put that there. That means x is going to be equal to $159.75. So the answer to the bake sale question is, let's see, dollar sign here, $159.75. Just going to correct that real quick. All right. All right. Let's see. 14 is yours to do, which leaves 15 to me. It looks like my last one. It says here, Vita wants to center the towel bar on her door that is 27.5 inches wide. And I'm just going to pretend there's a door here. And they just told me it's 27.5 inch from one end to the other. And this says she determines that the distance from each end of the towel bar to the end of the door is 9 inches. So that means if this was the door and the towel bar is hanging in the center, that's what it says there, the center, and we'll just make the towel bar right here. They're saying that there's 9 inches from the end of the towel bar to the end of the door. So that means this is 9 inches from here to here, and this is 9 inches from here to here. Write and solve an equation to find the length of the towel bar. Okay. Well, we know that, 2 times 9 plus whatever the towel bar is will equal 27.5. So 2 times 9. Right, and then we're going to add the towel bars, so that would be plus t, right? I'll put it on this side. Oh, sorry. T plus 2 times 9 has to equal 27.5. Okay, that's the equation, and now it says to solve it. Oh boy. Okay, so, well, if I was to multiply these together, this would turn into, let's see, t plus, well, 2 times 9 is 18, equals 27.5. Okay, now I have to subtract 18 to get rid of it, which means I subtract 18 over here. And 27 minus 18, 27.5 minus 18 is going to be 9.5. I know that because 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. So this has to be 9.5. Yeah, factors, right? So T has to equal 9.5. Oh, well, that was pretty easy. The towel bar has to be 9.5. We're talking inches, so 9.5 inches. So I'll just type this in, it'll be a little easier. The towel bar is 9 and 1/2, a half inches long. Okay, and if you left it as a fraction, it could be there. So it was a decimal, it might even be 9.5 inches. Okay. And let's see, yours is number 16, so I'm done for the night. And I hope that helped out in solving the rest of them. Good luck.